Hey, welcome to another Sunday Sync, everybody. I'm pretty sick, but we're going to give this a shot anyway. We're just talking about how sometimes your greatest strengths can be your weaknesses. And I found real estate and went 100% full bore, but I have to pull back because, I have a family and kids and a job. And so, anyway, so I think, Brandon, you were going to jump into something here. I'll shut up and get out of the way.
Well, this is what it is. I'm about to teach. I think I'd shared this maybe a couple of weeks ago. I'm about to teach two seventh grade classes and one senior calculus class. Some friends of ours asked if I would be interested in it. And it's really been fun preparing it because as any teacher knows, when you're preparing the material, you're the one probably that learns the most. And so I guess there would be principles in that of preparing and trying to figure out how do I speak to two different types of audience from seventh grade up to 12th. And I'm not sure I've got it all down just yet, but I thought I would share it with this group and tell me how you think it resonates, if that's okay. I've got two days to do this. I thought I was going to have a whole week, and that changed. That kind of changed up my material, but it goes in what we're talking about, of course, because this is what we all know is money. And so what I came up with was the 12 laws of money. What do y'all think of that title? That'll be the first day. It's 12 laws of money. And then the second day, I'm going to do um, how to be financially independent, wealthy in your 30s. And I'm going to teach you the cheat code to wealth. What do y'all think of those?
I can offer one perspective. It's maybe not a direct answer, if that's helpful. Um, I used to work for PwC. As part of being a partner there, every 5 years they give you a month to go do charitable work. And one of the programs they had is we actually went to some Central America country. I'm trying to remember the name. I might have been Belize. And we were doing charitable things, but we were also teaching courses in finance, just basic finance, right? Like how do you understand money and things like that. And I guess the only thing I would say is, and we taught a couple different groups, so a couple different age ranges. I think as young as like third, fourth grade, and as old as like eighth, ninth grade. And I guess the more, I guess the two. So I'm married to a teacher, right? And she was, for lack of a better word, coaching me a little bit that if you speak to these people like they are your peers or your employees, from an interest and motivation perspective, you risk losing them. For the younger kids, the people who are the most successful is the people who found a way to speak at their level and make it interesting for them, and for lack of a better word, make it fun and kind of gamify it. The older kids were a little more interesting, a little bit, you could have a little bit more of a mature, longer term discussion, but even still, it was kind of hard, right? Because I mean, if these are kids who are living in an upper middle class and they have the role models and they can see their parents, then that's probably a different conversation. And then if they're for us, it was like a disadvantage, second world country, they'd be lucky if they'd be able to afford a car one day. You know what I mean? So you have to kind of tune it to your audience. I don't know, just food for thought, but it was a pretty humbling experience for me.
Yeah, the word law, because you said seventh graders, right?
Right.
And so if I'm a kid, which I kind of am, I hear law and I almost, you got a short attention span there, right? So your first one was 12 laws for, what was it again? For money?
12 laws of money.
You might think about even the title like money, the laws and rule, that kind of thing. It comes off different. So I don't know how to reword it, but you could say, the audience, like I think it was Chris was just saying, consider your audience. You're going to have that 10-15 second intro, and then kids are probably, if they have phones in school, then you're competing with phones or distractions or whatever. So if you could have a catchy title like money something, I don't know. I don't know.
So
don't know what I'm saying, but
So I can speak to this a little bit because my son actually got that instruction in his school, and they actually call it financial literacy. You could say financial literacy 101. I think kids are used to like different levels, especially at the school level. And also, I would agree with everybody else. What they said is like, who's the audience? If you're talking to someone that is comes from a very depressed, poor area, they're probably going to take the information one specific way. Versus if you're talking to somebody that is, we'll say, in Beverly Hills, right? So I think that's
Well,
going to be
this audience is a private school. Just so y'all know, this is a private school.
all right. So you're
with families upper middle and up.
Yeah. We know
okay.
what Dion does is he starts from the end to get people's attention and then works backward. Right. Like he'll come out and say, "Hey, I'm retired and make 200 grand a year net." And then that gets people's attention. And then he explains how he got there because he learned over time that if you try to start from the beginning and work towards the end, people don't stick around till the end. So he starts from the end and goes backwards.
Yeah.
That's a good principle. I like that.
I mean, an interesting way to get their attention would be, hey, I know everybody here is probably going to go to college and is really excited about that. And, if that's for you, that's a great thing. But, did you know that, even most people who go to college still have to work until they're 65? And I'd like to talk about ways that you can do that earlier, right? I don't know, or something to give them a little bit of a change in view. I wonder, like your college, you're going to try and go to a upper middle class, and then you're going to get a job, and it's going to be salary, and it's going to be keeping up with the Joneses, but if you can somehow convey that trajectory is like a retire at 65 if you're lucky, as opposed to there are other options. Let me tell you about some of them. I mean, I don't know, that could be an interesting way to get their attention.
I like that. Even if you only capture a percentage of them, you're giving those people a fighting chance. Like I wish I would have heard something like this when I was younger. I'd be retired right now.
I've been teaching for lots of years, and the statistics show, I don't care what subject, kids or adults, only 10% ever listen to you and ever actually retain it. I am going to, and I'm going to share this up front, that I've got a couple of prizes, which they're rich dad, poor dad type stuff, that I'm going to have the second day. And I'm going to ask them to take notes. And on the second day, I'm going to ask a couple of questions and see who got the information. They're going to get a prize. And I've got several things that I'm bringing for each class to give prizes. But I like the idea of what you said, to start with the end and go backwards. I do. You're exactly right. That is how Dion does a lot of his material. I think that's pretty good. If I can describe, kind of like that title of the second day, the cheat code of being financially independent in your 30s, especially for the 18-year-olds. I talked about that with one 18-year-old, and that resonated with him. Seventh graders, it's going to be hard. I'll just admit that they have been talking financial literacy. This class, they have talked about it several times. I'm just the guest speaker at the end of the semester.
Hey, Brandon, isn't there a game? I never played it, but isn't there like a board game associated with, the cat? I mean,
It's cash flow for kids. I was planning on doing it, but when she took it from the whole week down to 2 days,
okay.
And each class is only 45 minutes. If you've played the game, even the cash flow for kids one, you would need to play it at least 2 days to start creating material to discuss. I went through that, and Chris, you're on the same spot I was. She just changed the number of days. Really changed what I had to do.
But if I could offer one other thing that I think, again, how do you kind of grab them by the testicles? Sorry for the language, but like I think if I'm 18 and I'll extrapolate a little bit here. If I'm 18 and my family's been whispering in my ear that college is the way to go and that's the only path and you're going to go to college, and what I wish somebody would have told me. I mean, I ended up going into a profession where you had to go to college, like electrical engineering, but like a lot of my friends, got these generic, useless degrees left with, like what, I mean, 30 grand in debt back 30 years ago. Now, their kids are leaving with 150, 200 grand. Like, I think talking about like, that would be an interesting, like if you, I wonder if you had some stats, you could say, look, I know you guys have probably, been going to the college road. That's great. Let's think about how you make sure, how do you avoid the most common pitfall? I don't know if you had some stats that says, did you know, how many, I think like as Dion was just saying on his last video, like how many people get a degree and then never end up working there, and how many people leave college with more than this much debt? Um, I mean, and what does that debt mean to you, right? And how do you make it real for them? It means, you're probably going to have a roommate. It means you're probably not going to be able to buy a new car, until you're in your 30s. I mean, I don't know. It would be interesting to kind of get them to think about some of that, because and again, I'm extrapolating, but I kind of grew up in a little bit of that environment, that I think you've just been whispered that, college is the right path. It's the only path, and just trust us. And then you get out and you got these student loan debts and you're like, holy cow, I don't know, that could be an interesting angle as well.
If you want to,
Well, I plan to talk about, I have to be careful because I'm invited in.
Yeah.
Uh,
You don't want to talk him out of college, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I
and
get it. I get it.
I'm thinking of that, but I can share personal, what you're saying, Chris. My daughter's 18, and she said all along, she just knew that college wasn't her thing. And we saw that too, but we didn't discourage it. We were aware of it as parents.
Sure.
And we've been having to walk her through this. I've got a different audience coming to my house next Saturday night that are not going to college. They've asked me to speak to them. So I've got several things coming in the next 2 weeks. But my daughter was literally crying one night because everybody was putting pressure on her. Where are you going to go to
Yeah.
college? What are you going to
Yeah.
do? And we all know, and we kept sharing with her, you don't have to know. You probably don't know for another
Yeah.
5, 10 years. And that most of those kids that say they know exactly what they're going to do, I guarantee you don't know. It's going to be something different than what they're saying today when they're 18. So we had to walk her through this because she literally was feeling guilty, was feeling pressure, and feeling like I just got to know what I'm supposed to do. So I can share some of those things
Yeah.
that addresses what you're saying and what Maddie, my daughter, who they all know, this is a small
Yeah.
Christian school that there's a class, the senior class is only 36 or 37 kids. So they know they're feeling that pressure. So I can share it in that way, that it's okay that you
Yeah.
don't really know what you're going to do.
What,
It's
what if
okay.
you what if you framed it as like there's a lot of ways to get financial independence, and what if you said, here's the
Yes.
most traditional way, probably the way they're on, right? But here's four other ways you may not know: entrepreneur, the path we're on with real estate, I don't know. I mean, I don't of trade school. I mean, I'd be interesting, like, to talk about, like, and to think about it not in terms of like prestige, but think of it in terms of like, how much are you putting into it, dollar wise and time wise? How long before you kind of hit being comfortable? How does that impact retirement? I don't know. I'm just riffing here, but it strikes me, not to talk them out of it, but to maybe have them start thinking that there's a broader set of options, or there's other ways to look at the puzzle. Um, yeah, it's a cool opportunity.
I am going to do the second day. I'm going to get kind of our Monopoly boards out and take some Monopoly money with me. And I'm especially for the 18-year-olds, I'm going to give them all, I've kind of written up a mock budget, and I'm going to give them all $3,000. And I'm going to go through the typical expenses of living on $3,000. And when it all said and done, it comes down to they basically only have $20 left. But I'm going to talk to them about how to house hack if they could get a duplex. And I'm going to give a specific one that sold recently. And I'm going to back into it and show them a way where they could save that $1,100-$1,200 that they would be paying, because they would rent out one side and then rent rooms to friends. I'm going to show them a way to house hack. So I am going to give that.
Are you thinking about talking about side hustles as well, in a broader sense?
I haven't. No, I hadn't put that down.
So, one thing I want to comment, Brennan, and what you're talking about is very dear to me. I have a 16-year-old, soon to be 17, and he's been with me on a journey of real estate investing for, I would say, it's probably since he was like 14. And he's gone to plenty of events with me. And what I can say is that what he, like, basically in his sleep thinks about, um, how he's going to house hack, and he talks to his minister, stuff like that. He's like, "I'm going to go to college, he's going to be house hacking." And they're like literally taking notes from him. However, in parallel to that, he is spending his hard-earned money that he got a job. I got him to a point where he got a job, and he's working at, basically a clothing store. And every penny that he's making, he's going and spending it on concert related stuff, and like stuff that he is, I guess, for argument's sake, is addicted today. That's like his clothes and stuff like that. And what I find with the youth is that, I mean, there's so, and once again, talking about the people they're going to be teaching, I would say that probably falls into where my son is at, upper middle class. A lot of people are doctors, lawyers that are parents and stuff like that. And what I would say is that he is completely somewhat engaged in the whole house hacking aspect, and he talks about it. That's one side of it. But then the other side of it, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to spend every penny I have to go to this concert. I'm going to spend every penny that I have to get this latest merch and stuff like that." So I think there should be in your speech, and if you're doing or not doing it, but maybe some conversation about delayed gratification. I think a lot of kids today, there was actually an article published speaking about it recently. 600,000 a year for Generation Z to feel comfortable. That is, I don't know if it was, I know it was on Fox News that they were talking about it, but it was, I think it was somewhere on the West Coast that it was published. I think it was either Seattle Times or something, but it made national
I
news.
saw that too.
600,000. I mean,
I think Zuber had it on his channel here a couple weeks ago.
like, I mean, so I think that aspect, and I'm actually, Brandon, curious to connect with you maybe later, because your daughter, my son is not going to go to college either. He's more oblivious and does not want to put in the time to challenge himself. He just feels like entrepreneurship is it for him, and he wants to do, be a real estate agent, be a real estate person. But I still feel like technology background, like you, Jared. And I feel like you don't want to put your eggs in one basket, right? You got to have sort of like diversification. So, yeah, I think the delayed gratification, the youth today is very not big on that. They want instant everything.
Agree.
Yeah, that's a big one. I didn't even think of that because, like, well, not all of us, but a lot of us, let's say older folks, let's use TV for an example. And I apologize, I'm sick, so if I'm off in La La Land, that's why. But like TV, remember commercials? We had to go watch like Saturday morning cartoons. You sat there, and if you didn't watch it on Saturday, you flat out missed it. There was no DVR. And then when you had commercials, you had to wait through them. Nowadays, man, they don't have any of that. It's like, I want it now. They binge the entire thing. I mean, you got fast food delivered to your door. I mean, it's crazy, man. Totally different world.
Well, I think TikTok and all these things, right? Like, I mean, they're literally. I mean, I scroll too, obviously, but the time that it takes my kids to scroll through and interpret that information, I mean, I get dizzy.
I am going to ask at the beginning, kind of open up some questions with especially the senior class. Where do they see themselves, and what do they want out of life in their 30s? I don't know if I necessarily want to go past there, because I think they're going to struggle enough to be thinking in their 30s. But open up that second day with that question, so I can kind of see for the first 5 minutes or so where some of them are, so that I can address it in the conversation, kind of addressing those issues. I'm hoping they're gonna share some things of dreams of what they want, and what they want their life to be. And then I can then give some conversation of a path how to get there.
It'll be really interesting to see where that. I mean, I'd love to hear back, like, what you hear from them, like, what are they thinking about, and how well do they understand the path to get there,
Yeah,
and
I'll be
do they
happy
really understand the financial implications of that? Yeah.
I would
because
too.
I've got two audiences coming up. One next Saturday night at our house. We've got a few kids that are coming to our house, seniors, and then the other one, which the two seniors that wanted that discussion are not going to be in that. They're not in that calculus class. So it really is a different audience. That's the kids that they're not thinking they want to go to college. They're coming over to our house. And then I've got this specific audience I'm talking about. They're in the calculus class. Those are the kids that are planning on going to college. So it will be neat to see two different senior groups and what they're interested in.
Yeah, I think college is like, even people going to college today, and obviously I'm seeing like more and more employers, and I guess you could say the old guard, they are starting to reduce those restrictions where before, I would say for a while, and then probably even still today, you need to have a college degree if you want to achieve executive status in a corporate based environment, right? And obviously MBAs that comes to mind, but even outside of that, just recently, one of the largest GSA, which is basically how the government develops work, they dropped the mandate to have a degree, right? So it's really starting to change
Wow.
as far as the requirements. What, yeah, and I think it's too like large contracts. And if you look at anywhere right now, applying for a job, especially if you're in a government space or a defense contractor, degree is not the most important thing anymore. It's more skill based. And I see potentially, and this is the part that technology is going to become a big challenge. A lot of people who are starting to retire in the federal government, you're going to start to see a huge challenge to fill in those positions. One, because to go and apply for a US Gov job, probably you need to be a PhD person to start with. But outside of that, it's just because of what happened in the past 10 years where the government shut down, people not getting paid. I mean, that's really impacting people, and they're starting to kind of go away from that. And you're not seeing a lot of people wanting to invest into, um, tech. If you think about like back, I'm a Generation X, right? So I graduated in '99. Back then, it was basically technology was a big because we were preparing for the Y2K bug, right? Now, one of the top fields to go into is being a social media expert. And they did like polls and stats on that. Like that's one of the highest, I guess you can say, list of things that people want to get into. And then you think about like, okay, well, what about all these manufacturing jobs and things like that throughout the country? Well, that's a major issue because people of the young age don't want to get into these kind of things. And it goes back to that instant kind of like gratification. Everybody wants to have the money to do what they want to do. A lot of it is driven by the social media of the world, Instagrams and TikToks and stuff like that. Everybody is fit. Everybody has millions and millions of dollars, and it's you just have to go to this website, pay this amount, and you'll have cash flow day one, which is obviously not true. So I think a lot of that drives a lot of these hopeless and impactful changes where people, younger youth, are starting to really get confused about what they're going to do for their future. And obviously, I think a lot of them have their mentors, which are their parents in a lot of cases, but that's also changing.
Well, what we feel like now, at least, I graduated with a college degree, but I think where I've learned the most is really from seminars, going to different type of events. I mean, it can't like the ORAAT event, but other type of highly highly specific events. That's where real learning is happening and real applicable real life learning is happening. I learned more since college than I ever learned in college. That's
Yeah,
practical and that you can use day to day.
yeah. To me, I find that I learned through failing. but actually going and doing something and just failing at it, and then do it again, failing at it some more, and keep on doing it until I found a slither of success, and then pivot a little bit because I saw success in it, and then failed in it again, and continued, doing it. I think people are so terrified of making that first step, and that's what one thing with my oldest son is that, like, he's a big time rapper right now, right? And he wants to, like, he sits there, memorizes music, and I'm like, well, why don't you go and do reviews on these artists, like on TikTok, Instagram, whatever. And he's just like, oh no, I'm not comfortable doing that. And I'm like, well, you're sitting there watching everybody else doing it. The people that you're scrolling through, they're making money off that. Like, why not use that as a skill? You're just, terrified to take action. I was like, oh, I don't know if anybody's going to listen to me. Well, I'm like, yeah, that's failure, and that's perfectly fine.
See,
I'm
this
like,
is
Mr. Beast is not going to tell you that his first 2 years of videos anybody watched, and look where he's at today.
See, this is where the we're talking about finances and more of the money side, but part of the college experience is social, right? And so some of these kids now, like you, Brandon, I'm not trying to be, I'm in an affluent area, right? And so a lot of the parents, the kids don't have a choice. The parents are like, you're going to college, right? And some of those people will go to college and they might find themselves, and then they'll gain some social skills and they'll learn a bit of this and a little bit of that, and they may get a degree. Yeah, but in a lot of the cases, they're not taking out college student loan. The parents are paying for it. So they're not worried about the debt. So there's all these different factions of college folks, right? So I wasn't lucky enough to be one of those people, but I went to school with a lot of people that were. So there's that, what you were just talking about, having that social ability to talk to, like, a lot of people, like the younger generation, especially the ones that were the COVID kids. I don't know they'd even get on a Zoom call and do this, right? So there's a lot of social anxiety, if you will, that some of that could be overcome by college. So I don't want to discount that, but yeah, we're talking more dollars and cents. But just figured I'd throw that out there too.
Sorry, I don't want to monopolize it. What I'm sure there's some other people that have some other specific, maybe real estate from this weekend. I know we saw that on the SKOOL also of possible wins from negotiating this weekend. Anybody in the group have that?
I mean, I hate to speak always, but I'll talk about a win. We have this other community. It's sub two, and we have this thing called No One Leave Behind Challenge. Um, it's basically a combination of people that are experienced in the real estate space and people that are just brand new. They're terrified of, in some cases, of their shadow, adults, and getting on the phone and just setting appointments. So we ended up basically having a team there all out of California, Northern California. We have 10 people, and we have about three, I would say, more, not experts, but I would say not beginners. And we actually got a deal on the contract that's at this point is going to make us $100,000 amongst like 15 people. We're all split it, but still, it's you know, it's a good start.
Awesome. Is this a buy and flip, or what's the structure of the how do you guys make money in that, just to make sure I'm tracking?
Yeah, we're going to dispo the deal, and we're going to dispo it to. So one of the people that's on the team, we chose his market because he has a big buyers list. So he's going to go out and basically find an investor that's going to acquire it and pay us an
Cool.
assignment fee.
Nice.
You know what's funny is like when I first started, I thought that, oh man, there's no way there's this thing out there. And then now I've become one of the buyers. Like the very person I thought didn't exist, in two reasons. I thought, there's nobody out there that's going to give me money. I'm a private money lender. There's nobody out there that's going to buy my deals. I'm a buyer. I mean, it just fascinates me that even my own brain, it's weird. In 2 years' time, everything got flipped on its head. It just boggles the mind. Hey, by the way, Dennis, if that's the Arizona market, I'm a buyer.
No, it's California.
Okay,
It's Southern
okay.
California. But
Sorry.
the next market we're going to be getting, because I'm going to now leverage this to build out as many teams, like literally, and I'm not going to say the person that community is there because this is recorded, so I don't want to get into that. But the person that put that in place, put in the structure that you can literally go recreate this anywhere. So you can literally build out, Jared, a team in Arizona and bring from that community all the newbies that don't know what they're doing. All they're going to have to do is basically get on the phone, call it, call agents, and set appointments. That's all they have to do.
Yeah, if you have the time to spend with them to do it, which in a year or two I will, but right now there's just no way.
But you don't have to even do that. That's what I mean. That there's a reason why the team has multiple leaders. You don't need to. What you need to do is basically define like how are you going to be dividing your expertise. So let's say, for example, you focus on a market and you have your expertise in co-living. So you're going to dedicate, let's say, 1 hour a day where you're going to go in, record a call, and then dump it into where they all see it. Let's say it's a Slack, and that's all you really need to do.
Cool.
So you don't have to be like, it's just no different than how people talk about passive businesses, right? Because they are there because like I know people that own multiple businesses. There's no way they're at these businesses all day long. They just have effective structure in place. So don't think, Jared, that you have to be there. You do have to participate, but you don't have to be there all the time. And it'll be a really good way for you to attract uh, potential business, a pipeline, I would say to some extent, and then you could just go pick. I'm gonna what I'm talking about. I'm gonna go and create in 4 different markets. I'm gonna create it in Tennessee. I'm gonna create it in Carolinas, and I'm gonna create it in Ohio and Pennsylvania. And the reality is, it's not going to require for me to invest a lot of time as long as I put in the processes and the tools in place.
I've got a question for the group. Um, if I can ask, it's a quick one. Has anybody ever dealt with a seller's agent that will not pass on the offer to the seller? I ask because I've got this one agent who just happens to be the seller's agents for 2 of the houses that I'm trying to buy. And the guy is not, I mean, he's instantly replying to my agent, and there's no way he talked to the seller that fast. And I am making, not, well, somewhat disrespectful, but, at least offers that are within the margin of error there. At least start the conversation, and he's not passing this on to the seller.
I mean, obviously, I work with agents, so and I'm an agent myself. So, 2 strategies you can employ. First strategy is that you can basically find out who's a managing broker for that broker, and have them CC'd on an email. The second question that you can ask is that can you get an initial from the owner that they have reviewed the offer?
That's a good one too. Hey, thanks, man.
Anytime.
Yeah, what's the luck? And the only reason I know, I figured it was because the selling agent's all tatted up, and even his signs are tattoos, this and that. His face is tatted and everything, which is interesting in the real estate agent market. But when he takes pictures of the house, he always puts his tattoo bust in the picture off to the corner. And so when I saw this house, I was like, ah, crap, it's the same guy. Um, he's promoting his own tattoo business or whatever the hell he's doing on the side as he's doing the agent thing. And I'm like, wow, smart, I guess.
Cross promote. The other thing you could do, Jared, is that you can, and this is what I heard other people do. I've not done it. Is skip trace the phone number. You're not an agent, and reach out to the owner and say, "Hey, listen, I present this offer multiple times. Has your agent discussed this with you?"
Yeah, I thought that's the first one I thought of, but I'm not sure what kind of trouble I'll get into or if I'll piss off my agent. You know what I mean? Like, I have a really good relationship with my buyer's agent, and the guy saved me. I mean, he's negotiated things. He's helped me. He's also a co-living operator. So I get a lot more from him than just the agent service, if you will. So I don't want to piss him off for nothing. This guy's awesome. He's Stephen Gomez out of Phoenix. He's by far the best agent I've ever had or heard of in my life.
Cool. That's your three options, really. I mean, I don't think there's anything else. I mean,
Cool.
the fourth one would be to go knock on the door, but once again, that's working directly with the owner. And if you don't feel comfortable, then those two options fall away.
Yeah. Thanks. What other questions do we have? Quiet group today. So we've got some people on here I'm not sure if I've seen before. I think maybe Lindsay, or have you been here before? I think maybe
I think I've been here a couple of
a couple
times.
times. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything going on in your world?
Well, last week I cashed out refi out of a property, so that was my first bird done. That's
Nice.
the most surprising thing, not surprising thing, but the most exciting thing that's happened in the
Good
last.
for you. Did you get a good chunk of it or back?
Yeah, so I got all my money invested.
Wow, that's
Wow.
amazing, especially with today's rates. Good job.
Yeah, I was actually debating because I do go to the other accountability groups, and so I invest in Gary, Indiana. I bought something for 35K and I put 33K into the rehab. So all in 68,000. But then there was a fire, an electrical fire, so unforeseen. I had to rehab the kitchen again for an additional 11,000. I know, it's crazy. I should make a video about it.
Yeah, you should.
And so all in, I'm at 79,000 now. And my predictions, my comp for the property was that it was going to price for 90,000. So I was technically losing money because of the fire. I was supposed to get like $67,000 back, which was my original predictions. But then the property after this happened, actually, the fire happened like a day before the appraisal. So I just let the bank know, and I thought they were gonna pull out of the deal, and they gave me accommodations because obviously it was such a thing that happened, and was able to rehab it, turn it around back in 2 weeks, and then they came and appraised it again, and appraised for 150,000.
Nice. That is
So
awesome.
that made me really happy because I was able to get all my money out. So my dilemma was for like a couple weeks, I was talking to other people too about how do I take all the money I put in out that will only let me be with $50 of cash flow monthly. So kind of like a low cash flow deal, or do I leave like the $11,000 behind and I have like $200 cash flow? And so I was like debating with that, but I ended up taking all the money out because the money that I put in was from my HELOC.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they saw me, like they made me see another different perspective. Like regardless of you leaving money out, you're still gonna have to pay your HELOC back. So I just decided to take it out and leave the $50 cash flow monthly.
Man, that is great. Yeah, you got to share these stories. That's amazing. And the fact that you're multifaceted, like with the HELOC there, like
Mhm.
I agree with you. You have to pay that back. Otherwise, over time, that'll kill you. So now you have an asset that's at least performing. Now you probably have reserves, I'm hoping, in case something goes
Yeah,
sideways, right?
I do, and I could get more rent for the property, but I'm doing Section 8, and I'd rather do Section 8 um to get a little like less of a rent, but a sure rent for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I know Millennial Mike, that's what he did is he's leveraged that same HELOC for I think damn near all 27 of his units. That's crazy.
Yeah, I bought four this year with that same HELOC, so I'm trying to replenish it back.
Wow. I need to learn from you, Lindsay, because I bought two properties with the HELOC, but then I backfill them right away with other funds. So I need to learn your burr method there.
It's my first one, so I'm not very well versed, but I'm learning as I go. And I think I'm undercomping my properties for sure. So that's a good thing, I guess.
Man, that is great. Anybody else have stories like that? Ricky's not on here, but Ricky's got one, I know. But
I guess I should share what's going on with me then if we want to hear good stories right now.
yeah,
All right. So I also just did I won't call it a burr, but well, buy and rehab and hold. So basically duplex bought in 2019 for 338,000. Been on and off rehabbing it just because it's been taking a while. Well, mainly because tenants just left downstairs, so I finally got down rehabbing the downstairs. I rehabbed the upstairs way back when, so I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I'm going to, if I had to estimate, um, over the last 5 years, I've probably, including the down payment, which was about $30,000, because I bought this place with an FHA loan and only put 3.5% down. I probably spent somewhere between 80 and 100,000 rehabbing the entire place. So significant, but I went through a lot. I went through a lot there, and now it's basically done for good. So yeah, just did a cash out not a cash out refi, a second mortgage. Never do a cash out refi on that place with a 2.9% mortgage. But I got a second loan at what 9.25%. So I thought it was going to come in at like 500,000. It came out at 500,070. So I was able to take $115,000 out. So I'm plus 15,000 on what I put into that. And even better, the rents, well, my rental income, my rental income back then when I first bought it was like, what was that? That was 1,200 a month. And even with me putting a second mortgage on it, it's still cash flowing 2,400 a month. So I I guess that's a really good win there.
nice. Yeah.
And
Robert, I got a question. You're
Mhm.
saying that you left the primary in place, right? And
Yeah.
did you do like a second mortgage or
Yep,
something?
second mortgage on a rental.
You could do that?
Yeah, some banks allow it. I use TD Bank. I've been recommending that around to other people, but from what I understand, they're like the Northeast only.
Where you're at? Where's the property at?
New Hampshire.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm in New Jersey, so I'm a little bit lower than you.
You might be able to get a second. I think they do New Jersey.
I mean, my bank is TD Bank, so like,
Oh, you use TD? Yeah, they do second. They do second mortgages. Yeah, you have to have a 25% LTV, but they'll do seconds on rental properties.
35% on TD. Okay. Well, I have a property right now. Yeah, I'm about to acquire one, so we'll see if that works. But that might be a potential because that could have a primary and a secondary. Huh. That's interesting. And with the FHA, another question, you had to do a lot of renovations. How did you get a CO? Like, because most of the times, like if it's a really heavy renovation, and I don't know, do you guys have CO in your area? Usually cannot get approval for that.
I mean, it was a lot of renovation because it was just like, well, it was flat out. It wasn't a gut rehab, but it was a lot of work. I mean, basically throughout the entire time, what was it? So yeah, it was basically redoing everything barring going into the walls. So new electrical in each unit through fishing, but not stripping the walls. New kitchen, new flooring, new new bathrooms. Um, one of the heating systems had to be one of the heating systems had to place. There were minor structural issues where I had to spend about like 5 to 7 grand just jacking up the floor in the basement. There was an issue where there was no floor joists in part of the floor from this on the second floor, so I had to like rip open an entire wall and spend 6 grand actually putting in floor joists there and like again jacking up the floor and like re-sheetrocking that entire thing. So I spent like 3 grand refinishing wood floors. There was a lot to.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's awesome they got an FHA because in my area, I would not be able to do that. That would have to be a hard money loan and refi into it. Like, because we have a thing called certification of occupancy, and the bank would not finance that. They would say that, no, it's not financeable.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. They just, I mean,
No, it's
it
super
was,
cool they did that. I mean, that's
yeah,
awesome. I mean,
yeah, it was definitely a dated property, but well, there were subtle structural issues. It wasn't like the building was collapsing, but
no.
there was definitely, the floors were definitely sagging bad, and I'm like, all right, this is like I just went to have like a structural engineer look at it because I'm like, all right, there's like over an inch sag in like some of these floors, and I'm like, something's up here. And it's an old house. If you watch Matt Lumberjack Landlord, like these houses are old, old, old. Like this one is 1910, which 1914, sorry, which is I'd say an average age of a duplex from what I buy. So yeah, it was. I didn't got I didn't got anything because well, I might have, but I was smart enough to hold back because now, from what I know with lead, I would not gut these things. That would be a lot, but yeah, it was to, to the point like it was already rented by tenants, so it wasn't like it would cause a problem with FHA.
It
Actually, the
sounds,
only
Robert, like you didn't do anything. It sounds like you didn't have to get it recertified, a new certificate of occupancy. It sounds like you were just, from the city's perspective, you were just doing normal renovations, no major permit pulls. I wonder if that's since that, so, to a certain extent, the CO, the original CO when you first got the property was still valid. Makes me
yeah
wonder.
yeah no it was that's what I'm guess that's what I'm guessing. I mean, I've never ever dealt with an occupancy certificate before. I guess I've
Yeah.
never ripped the building that much apart to warrant one.
No, I think it's specific to areas because like we have like I'm in the suburbs of New Jersey, which is South Jersey, which is right outside of Philadelphia. So we live and die by certification of occupancy, and we had a situation just recently where we were the buyer agents and our clients were buying a property, and they had a crack, not even a crack, but like I guess it was like a little bit of a crack in the pavement of the driveway, and the certification officer inspector came out and failed them over that. And I was just like, well, that makes no sense. So it's very county specific here because we had situations where we had a property, literally, it was a garage converted into a bedroom. We pulled the permits, there was no permits for it, and they still gave us a CO. So it's literally who you get. But I'm curious who you use for your FHA. I don't know if you mind sharing because
It
I
was
come
Rocket.
across. Who was it?
Rocket.
Rocket. Okay, Rocket Mortgage. Okay, cool.
Yeah. No, that's funny. Crack in the driveway. Geez.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if that's funny because
And it wasn't even the crack. It was like kind of like almost like I would say like from, well, we haven't got snow in a while, but kind of like when snow happens, like there could be like these pebbles in the not concrete, the driveway turf, I guess you can say. That was the issue, and the people on top of that actually were out of their apartment, and I looked at the inspector and I'm like, oh, they're coming and staying at your house, because they have nowhere to go. And he was like, oh
oh,
well, I'll be back here on Tuesday, and it was Friday. I'm like, okay.
actually, now that you mention it, I mean, yeah, FHA did kind of throw a stink at a couple of things, but th- they said nothing about like the structural integrity or anything. Again, it, I wouldn't say like the building was collapsing. It just needed a slight reinforcement so the floor didn't like cave in so much. Well, that second floor thing I talked about with that, when whoever did that addition didn't put any floor joists there, was just dumb, and no wonder why the second floor was sagging like an inch and a half. But the only things they called out were like peeling paint because lead, and then there was like,
Mhm.
what was it? A roof fascia was like kind of like sliding off, and they wanted that corrected.
No, I
I
mean that's super cool. You got it. I mean that's
I
all I'm saying.
I mean, geez, it's like if they'd fail things for that so little, I mean, God, none of the homes in that neighborhood would ever go FHA because they're all old duplexes. So, like my neighbor, he's from 1895. It's like, geez, like all the things you could find wrong with that. Actually, there are still homes in that general area that are from the 1700s still standing. I mean, again, think about what FHA could find wrong with that. But obviously, they were built right because they're still standing.
Yeah.
Uh,
VA is the same way. They're pretty picky. And VA won't like I don't know how FHA is, but VA won't, sometimes you can do concessions or something. They don't do that. You have to
Yeah.
actually fix it.
Yeah.
So the seller, if they're trying to sell, they actually have to fix it and get it re-inspected before they can sell it. So like in today's market, you can get away with that. In a hot market, they're probably not even going to look at VA or FHA purchasers, right? Buyers. They'll be like, whatever. But now they will.
Jared, you actually are speaking about another story that I just had recently. We have a client that we're dealing with. He's a relocation. He's a former military. He's buying an MVA, and the property has a shot septic. So he's trying to do a VA, and it
That's
is a
shitty.
nightmare.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, couldn't help myself. Bad dad joke in me. Just anyway.
Yeah, no worries.
Hey, if you guys want to see some pretty scary videos, you should put Ryan All Nighter Hider's link to his YouTube channel in there. Early on, he was doing a reno in a house, and dude, like some of the stuff he's walking on and doing, I'm like, there's no way I'm even stepping foot in that house, man. So, and he's filming it, walking around like doo doo doo, and I'm like, dude, you're gonna fall to the floor. Anyway,
I have to check that out.
yeah.
Well,
Jared, I got a question for you. I'm sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Um, you're building out your YouTube channel, and I was doing analysis, and I'm building out my YouTube channel. What do you think about this theory? And I just want to, and anybody else can obviously comment on this. Anybody who has over, let's say, 1,000 videos are making money on YouTube.
Is that a statement or a question?
Yeah, no question. I'm just curious, like, because like if you literally like, I calculate. So if you do one video a day, 30 days a week, let's say 31 days, that's about 1,800 videos per year, right? And I was actually thinking that through, like, if you look at like the big influencers and people that are actually somebody that we know and people that are very active, they just do 1 to 2 videos a day. They sometimes don't even think like, I don't know about you, but like I always feel like that imposter syndrome, and also to some extent, what am I going to post, right? But I had a conversation with somebody not long ago, and they kind of gave me that concept, but not that specific. I kind of came up with myself, but I'm just curious if you have any thoughts or anybody else has any thoughts
I
as
think
well.
it's like, what is your goals? For me, it's this is as simple as it gets. I post whenever I feel like it. I'm not doing it to be monetized. I'm doing it honestly to make myself laugh because and then my journey, like I look back at some of the shit I've done, I'm like, I did that. What a nut job, right? My wife tells me all the time I'm a nut job, but then I go back and see the proof in the videos, and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I was a little. I don't know. For me, it's fun, right? Just documenting the journey, like your kids, right? Like when they were younger. I don't know if you guys have kids, but and you filmed. Like we did this racetrack that went through the whole freaking house. Those little track or I don't know, matchbox cars with the little spinners, the engines. We bought a whole bunch of those. We went up the stairs to the whole house. My wife was pissed. We had the whole. It's a big house, right? 3,600 square foot house. And I filmed it all and everything. And looking back on that was awesome. Well, this for me, it's the same. I get to relive it. I guess is what it is. So for me, probably totally different than everybody else. I'm not trying to be monetized. I mean, it's kind of like the modern day business card in a way. So if in the future, if I ever like took on an investor, I could say, hey, this is the nut job you're potentially getting involved with, so I could put it all, hey, reference my YouTube stuff or whatever. So me, it's a different mindset. I don't care to be monetized or anything. That'd be cool, but I'm not trying to. Like if I was doing that, I'd go out and do like Zuber says and do the Doom videos. That one guy, I heard he's making like 70 grand a month, right? And the dude rents and he flies around the country and says all this doom and gloom shit. And I'm like, if you want to make money on it, then don't do what that dude's doing. But for me, it's just fun. I don't know what other people think.
Yeah, my intent, if mine ever monetize, it'll be by accident. That is not my intent. It's really more to make impact and also as a diary for the kids. Say I'm gone. I've thought of that. Just at least seeing something online that they can see when I'm gone.
Yeah, I thought of that too.
What I was going to bring up is I was out shopping this weekend for lots and no success. I had 5 on the radar. I took my son with me. We went and looked at them. It was good for him. I just spending time with your kids. So it was about an hour drive. So I got an hour captive audience with him, but enjoyed that. But then let him look at the lots with me because, I have future plans for them and hope that they'll participate down the road. But I took him to look at these 5 lots. All of them were no-goes. They were too much retaining walls and wasn't level enough lots for the opportunity, but just good time to look. I was hoping to make offers. I do have one offer out on some other lots. Haven't heard yet, but I'm kind of getting a little antsy. I've got to find some place to go here in the next 4 months. I really need lots to keep going, and I'm running out of dirt right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat, but my time window's evaporating. I was trying to get a property before the end of the year for tax reasons, and that's probably not going to happen. So, sucks to be me. I'll be paying taxes this year.
Ooh, I hope that's not me. I think we need to get you more lots, Brandon. That's what we need to do. Is we need to get you more lots to look at.
Oh, I look every day. I look
Okay,
what's
cool.
coming online. I'm an agent too, so I have MLS access. I'm checking it all out every day.
You know what I just did, and I've been an agent since '99, and this is probably a business person out there um, that has been recently become a lot more active, and she is about to have a book release. I went into my MLS the other day, and I discovered something that I never knew. I have a business opportunity section. And you know what I did, Brandon? I went and opened it up and just said, let me see what's going on here. 60 to 360 days that have been listed. I got like 500, returns. I'm like, okay, let me now change that and pull up and say expire withdrawal. It was over 1,000. And I was like, whoa. So I have now over 1,000 businesses that expired, withdrawal, canceled, that I can go and just have conversation review in my area. And I was like, forget about the business broker. I just have to dive into this stuff. Never knew that was in there.
Yeah, I haven't seen. Oh, I'd have to look on our MLS. It might be there. I just not seen that section.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm
I
looking at
was
specific lots in a very targeted. My buy box is very specific right now, and so. But now this is a subdivision that has over 1,000 plus lots. Most of it's built out, but probably several hundred aren't yet, and so I'm just waiting for ones to come available, which they will. But just the things that are out there right now, they're not the good lots.
So are you like familiar like with lots? Like when you drive by like one day and there's somebody like a builder building it, you're not gonna be like, darn it, this should have been the lot that I went after. Are you like to that level where you know every lot in that area, what it can be?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I've been
Okay,
building for quite a few years.
gotcha.
I mean, I go in, that's why yesterday when we went and looked at these lots, I didn't know those specific ones, so I had to drive over there and get my eyes on them. As soon as we drove by, you know exactly why they're still available, but there's still plenty of lots out there in that subdivision I'm looking at that are relatively flat. These are ones that you'd be spending, gosh, several of them were 20,000 plus in lot prep work. Well, that blows the budget. I mean, I've got it dialed in pretty tight of exactly what I'm looking for. I showed some yesterday. They were lots that I passed on about a year ago. And of course, my son and I made it up called the Great Wall of China because they had massive 20-foot, and I told him before, I said, there's a 20-foot retaining wall. You've got to see this. I'm calling it the Great Wall of China. And I can't imagine the amount of money for that engineered retaining wall they blew for those lots. It's just people that don't understand dirt, basically, and how what blows budgets on lots.
What is it holding? Is it like a mountain on the side? Like what is it pressing against?
Yeah, it's up against a hill. And
Yeah.
they had to build this. The house behind them has about a 10 plus foot tall retaining wall. They had to cut into that hill to build their lot. They were going to put in between a 10 and 15-foot retaining wall. They were working on that, and they were butted up against each other. And retaining walls are going to fail, guaranteed. It's not an if, it's a when. It's how long. But to fix those things the way they have it built out between these two lots, it's going to be a nightmare for somebody in 10 years. They're going to really have some serious problems.
Do you guys have like wetlands lots that are like there's close water underneath?
We do. I mean, that's not where these are, but yes, we do.
Gotcha.
I'm just staying real tight to my buy box, which we all talk about. I'm anxious. I've got two offers on two lots that are relatively flat that will have very little lot prep. I've got a budget for the lot prep and I haven't heard back. I'm hoping this week I'll hear a yes. Then I have my two lots for next year. I've got a multifamily lot that I'll be building on in 26. And then after that, I think it's two more lots after that, and I'm done. I'll have the 20 units. That is my goal, is to get to 20. So I'm basically 4 lots away from being done.
When you say done, what does that mean? Like retired?
Yes, retired.
Wow, man, congrats.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
so 8 more doors. I've got one multifamily that'll be a 4 unit, and then 4 more houses, and I'll be done and retired.
Cool. 'Cause then you can take over this Sunday Sync because you'll have the time.
That's right. I think it's going to be till 27 before that happens.
I'll see if I can meet you there.
There you go.
I'm trying to get 3 more next year, and I won't be at my goal, but I'll be at about 9,000 net. I'm about 5,000 net now, and I'll be at 9, 10,000 somewhere in there. And I'm thinking about doing something dumb, maybe quitting in 2 years and just going full time RIA, not being 100% stable, mind you, like 10K, 120 years, not what my goal is, but I figure I'll just stay in and see how it goes. I don't know. See. Talk to you in 2 years.
That'll be cool if that will be neat with this group. If, here in 2 or 3 years, 4 years, whatever that is, several of us that go into more of a full or a semi-retirement
Yeah.
type of situation.
Ryan's on here. I was talking about how this is my real estate investing family, right? And it's awesome to see people like he's not here or doesn't go to these, but Curtis, right? He's up in Washington. That dude's a badass, right? And I love watching people's journey, like Ryan and you, Brandon, and all the people on here, and we're all sort of growing together. That is amazing to me. I never thought I'd be part of something like this. And Zuber is a big reason why. He's out there throwing out the message, and we're listening and taking tidbits from him, and Dion and Matt, and I know like Dennis and I are in sub 2 and Gator, and I'm learning from Pace and Ty and all the. It's just freaking awesome, man. So I love to hear all the stories about, like a while ago, Lindsay was telling that story. That's amazing. I love hearing this stuff. It's cool. All right.
You
What
know
else
what?
you got?
I don't hear it at home. So like I have to come to these kind of communities because even though I am part of a real estate family, we're all agents, but we're always taught to tell don't bring your work home.
Well, it is a small club. I mean, if you look at statistically, the one that I've seen is only 7% on one single rental property.
Right.
Is 7%. And so it is neat. My wife asked me the same question. Why are you doing this every Sunday? And why? I said, it's a group of us. We all have the same mentality, and it's just encouraging to hear it.
We all
Because
have the same
we don't get it
sickness.
anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, that's funny you mentioned the 7%. I have a few friends of mine that are what they consider accidental landlords. Like when the rates were low, one guy has a house in Beaverton. He's making $500 a month on this thing. And the really weird thing is he doesn't want to, he's just now retired. He's got 1.5 million in the bank. And I'm like, dude, if I had 1.5 million in the bank, that shit would be into like 10 houses as fast as I could do it right now, especially. And he doesn't want to hear it. Doesn't want to hear it. And he's even a landlord. He's seen the benefits of it. It just blows my mind. But there's people out there that have, what I'm saying is, of that 7%, there's probably 1 or 2% of those that are some fraction of that's accidental landlords. There's probably like 5%. And then out of the 5%, there's only some action takers. So we're in a small group, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, exactly. So we're all nut jobs, and we're here, not nut jobs, but okay, maybe just me. But we're all in that investing mindset, which is great. So yeah, it's a small group of people. So I'd love to be able to join these groups and listen to what people have to say.
Are you all guys going to the conference next year?
I
Where are
am.
you staying? 'Cause
I am.
for a hotel.
Oh, I don't know. My
know-
wife's handling that side of the house. She's going this year.
Jared, you said you're bringing your wife. I'm bringing my wife. I think there's several that are.
Yep. Frank said his wife came last year, but Frank's bringing his wife, so that'll be good. And my wife is not in this world, so it's going to be real interesting to see how this goes, because I'm hoping that she likes it, so she'll go again, because I have to be on my best behavior and make sure everything's good, and because I want her to come again.
Jared, no sweat. Mine is not either, and she's a realtor, full-time realtor.
My wife went out and got her real estate license because I asked her to. And then she's not too happy with me because I found out later after we did that she didn't have to do it to get the real estate professional status. So she was like, I don't know. At the time, I thought that had to be a thing, and whoops. But anyway, now she has a lot of knowledge she's probably never going to use.
I got my license when I graduated high school, and I was always told by my parents, "You never know when you're going to use it." I ended up getting into the business in '99. Was an agent till 2006. I did not predict the crash, but I got out right before the crash happened. Um, and throughout my life, I always fall back to using it. So it's like I almost feel like it's like a badge of honor, in my opinion. Like it's something that you can always. I think, in my opinion, anybody can get the license, but to be successful as an agent, that's where it's very difficult because it's literally the 10% are successful, and 90% are working a full time job and doing this on weekends.
You get access to the MLS through your wife, Jared.
Yeah, but you have to pay for it. So she hasn't hung her license with a broker. I did talk to a guy at work that there's a way to get access to it relatively inexpensive. He gave me the name, but I forgot. It's not that much per month because I don't know about wherever everybody else is at, but in Oregon you have to pay for it.
Wouldn't
And
she be able to represent you, like, in order to make disrespectful offers and you don't have to bother, like,
I I invest in Arizona. There's no reciprocity from Oregon to Arizona. There is, and weirdly, oddly enough, Oregon, I think it's Georgia. They have reciprocity. So she could operate out of Georgia, but I'm not in that market. So
Mm.
Yeah, my wife literally has not seen any of the investment properties we own. Never been in one of them, never seen. I think, well, she sees two of them because she happens to drive by them. Maybe she knows that they're there, but I always joke with them like, "Are you certain you don't want to go see these? You just don't know. I could be having an affair over there. You just don't know." I'm like, "Why don't you want to come see them? Your name is on the loan," but she doesn't want to. So I guess that's the ultimate trust.
yeah, where are people staying? We're probably going to stay on the strip and then just Uber over. So I'm
We're
not sure.
staying, don't shoot me, but we're staying at the Wynn.
Hmm. I lost a lot of money playing poker there a few times. Not my favorite place.
Yeah.
Although I
We
went into
stayed
the
in one that was a little bit um not so nice, and we decided this time. Now this is an anniversary trip too, so it's a dual purpose, but we said we were going to stay at the Wynn. It's a little bit nicer area, not too far from the Sphere, so we're going to walk down to the Sphere and take a tour of that.
yeah, we just did that last weekend and it was $120 a ticket. My son wanted to do it and it was cool. They got the robots downstairs and that steep thing. It was something you have to do. It's on your bucket list type of thing.
I'm staying pretty close to where the event center is. I forget which hotel exactly I booked, but it's, what is it? It's around what, somewhere in the area of the Route 15, Route 11 interchange.
Be careful if you're not like right on the old town strip. Because man, I did that last year and I wouldn't recommend it.
Eh, I'm not afraid to have to fight for my life, I guess.
Even
Yeah,
the
I don't.
Uber,
Go
even the
ahead.
Uber, even the Uber driver was like, why are you staying here? I'm like, I don't know. It was the cheapest I could find. Don't do what I did.
Oh no, it's the cheapest I could find, but it's the best deal I could find. I when I booked it, they're like, "Oh, it's this hotel is like 50% off right now." And I'm like, "Really? Okay." I mean, it was the price of like it was the price of like a Motel 7, but it's like this place has like a bar and stuff. It's like this isn't a Motel 7, so might as well take it.
Oh my God, this sounds like the place I booked. There was a bar there, but it wasn't open. But they also had an armed guard in the lobby. Good luck.
Don't tell us what disease you come home with. sleeping in the sheets.
Are you guys getting there earlier than Friday?
I'm going Wednesday so I can go to the Denny's thing with Dion.
Have you been there before? Like the dentist thing? I was considering it.
I didn't make it last year, so I wanted to make it this year.
I don't know if I can stay up past midnight every.
When is the
You should
Denny's
do
thing?
it.
Is that Thursday night or Friday night or?
I think he said Wednesday, Thursday. He's not doing
Yeah.
Friday because that will screw up with people's times and trying to, wake up in the morning for the event. So
That's just people being weak, I guess.
I think he's just trying to be considerate. Plus, Dion's flying in from Thailand, so he's probably going to be a little shaky on Wednesday himself. So
Yeah, I'm actually getting there Tuesday, but Tuesday night I'm getting there Tuesday morning, but like Tuesday, Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning I'm spending time in the Grand Canyon. So then I go back to Vegas.
I think we're getting in Friday, midday, noon Friday. We're leaving on Tuesday, if I remember right. We're going to do a couple of shows. We've got some friends that are actually going to be at the conference with us. They're first time investors. They own a duplex that I helped them find. And so they're going to be there with us, but we're going to be doing a couple of shows and some things also.
all righty. Well, I have to apologize, guys. I'm not very entertaining today. I'm sick, but looks like we're dropping like flies. We're dropping off pretty fast. Uh,
Are you
I
guys
think
trying to get anything by the end of the year, like real estate wise? I know you're trying to get land, Brandon.
we saw that one on the SKOOL thing. What was his name? Not Frank, but sounded like he got a great deal that he posted out there a day or two ago.
was that the one that he worked on for a while?
Think it was, and then Zuber talked about it on one of his
Yeah.
videos a couple of days ago. That was
Yeah,
that was a good deal.
yeah. It'd be interesting to in a year from now sit down or maybe two and figure out how much my W-2 has cost me in the real estate investing world, right? Like sit down and do a opportunity cost. I'm still gonna, work, but I would venture to say that in the short run, I'm probably better off with the W-2, but long run, 2, 3 years from now, would have been better off had I not worked and done especially for tax reasons, but also for the investing, right? Especially with potential appreciation, things like that. It's kind of a weird thing to think about.
Yeah.
I am trying to work on a deal right now. The seller finance deal for a duplex that I'm hoping to convert into a 3 or 4 unit. Yeah, just randomly cold called the guy who had his property listed last year. It's like, hey, I saw you had your property listed a year ago. You still want to sell it? He said yes, and working on that right now. It's kind of in limbo right now because I sent him a PNS like 2.5 weeks ago or something like that. He said he wanted to. He's trying to get his lawyer to review it. The guy himself is very responsive and communicative, but seems like his lawyer just doesn't care. So whatever. In Matt's boot camp last night, he instructed me of how to fix this nonsense. So going to be doing that this week.
Robert, do you sell a contract? Do you have a contract for like seller finance, or did you just talk it over with him?
Oh, well, okay. So, we talked it over. We have like a, we have a written agreement over email. I had I had my attorney draft up a PNS, so it is in writing, but he wants his lawyer to review it, and yeah, his lawyer doesn't. His lawyer probably doesn't care because
Sounds like pickleball.
there's like his lawyer has no financial gain from reviewing this really, other than maybe just like a small amount of their time. It's not like my attorney who's doing closing who gets money if this transaction closes. So, yeah. But yeah, once he actually signs the PNS agreement, then my attorney will write the promissory note for like the actual seller financing portion of the deal.
Mhm.
All righty, we're fading here. I know I am. We got anything else to talk about, or we want to call it?
No, good talking to everybody.
Yeah. All right,
Good
guys.
talking.
You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend.
All right. Bye.
Have a good
Thanks,
one.
Cheers.
everyone.
Bye bye.
See you guys.